your parents really don't want to talk about this stuff. There have been studies done, surveys done, polls taken. You know that your parents would rather talk to you about sex than drugs? That's the truth. But go home and talk to your parents about this. How many of you go home each night and your mom and dad go, how was school today? What's the best thing that happened in school? You ever heard that one before? Hey, today when they ask you that, tell them we had this guy come to health class. And he talked about drugs, but he talked about it in a way that his son was an addict. And you know, he lives 2 miles south of this high school. He lives in our neighborhoods. He's from here. Talk to him. Now, your parents, despite what you think, they went to school too. Now granted, we went into caves and we painted on cave walls and stuff, you know, a little while ago, right? But, no, I graduated from Washington High School in 1973. There were drugs in that school when I was in school. Your parents should face the very same questions you face today. You say, Dad, Mom, did you ever smoke weed? What do you do? Yeah, I smoked weed 2 times in my life, 2 times. I didn't like to smoke. My dad was a cigarette smoker, and I didn't like to smoke. And I wouldn't, I just didn't have me a beer. And yes, I'm talking about high school. Okay? But you gotta be honest. But your mom and dad are the people that will help you the most. They'll provide you the excuse. You're out at a party, you're out having fun, and somebody says, hey, man, you gotta try this stuff. This is, you can't believe this stuff is good. And you're gonna go, man, if I did that, my dad would beat my ass. I can't do that. And whether he would or not, doesn't matter. But I bet you he'll let you use that as an excuse. Not put yourself in a position to do that. And everybody knows that, right? You know where the bad places are. Stay out of them. They're called bad places because good things don't go on there. Trust and verify. This is the old dad. I get to do my dad lecture right now. You ever heard, you want to be trusted? Be trustworthy, right? What's trust mean to you? I told my kids, what trust really is if you're in a position to do something you know that's really not right to do, and you know that no one in the world would ever know, you do the right thing, regardless. Because the truth is, if you can't trust yourself to do right, why would you expect anybody else in the world to trust you? Now, that don't mean you have to be perfect. You screw up? Tell Mom and Dad. You know, tell them. Talk to them. If you can't talk to Mom and Dad, talk to Miss Mayberry or anybody. But talk. This is where I'm talking about. Be aware of your own behavior, what it looks like, and be accountable. You're all adults. You're young adults. And that's part of being an adult. This is where you get help. Schools, you can't expect Miss Mayberry, you can't expect the principal's office, you can't expect the SRO to keep drugs out of these schools. It won't work. The only people that can keep drugs out of these schools are you. All of you. I'll tell you about an experience. In the 90s, I was on the school board for this district. I was vice president of the school board. We had our meetings on Monday nights just like they still do. Right over there in the central office, you know, building on the corner. We're sitting there, getting ready for a meeting, and about a half a dozen students walk into that school board meeting. Now I know that's a really hot date night. get your date and you go to school board meeting, right? That's the place you really wanna be. But we're sitting there and these students walked in and there was nothing on the agenda that says there was a presentation or a recognition or anything. So if there's nothing like that, trust me, you don't find students, young people in a board meeting. I'm sitting there and I look at I was vice president of the board, I'm sitting next to Carrie. Carrie, what's going on? What's the kids doing here? I don't know. She didn't know. We looked down to the superintendent, which was Dave Pendleton at the time. I said, Dave, what's these kids doing here? I don't know, Ron. Okay, by that time, you know, we're getting nervous. Why are there kids coming to the board meeting? We holler at Don. Don Swartz was the principal. Come on up. Don, why are these kids here? I don't know. Now, why are these kids signed up at the public comment to speak to us? I don't know. What's going on? Nobody knows. Man, I'll tell you what, I never seen a bunch of adults so afraid of high school students in my life. We're nervous. Public comment time come up and these six students walked up to the microphone and they said, we would like to ask the board to allow drug dogs to come into the high school and search the high school for drugs. Would you allow that? It didn't take much discussion. There was a motion. I moved to allow drug dogs to come into the high school. There was a second. There was a vote, 7-0, yes, bring the drug dogs in the high school. When those drug dogs came in, if they sat down next to your locker, you was in trouble. Those lockers belong to the district, you know, and they can be opened anytime. And finally, after that, it was like, well, why stop at the lockers? Why not go out to the parking lot? Walk the drug dogs out through the parking lot, buy all the cars. And if that dog sat down by your car, granted, the principal and people couldn't open up that car, but they had a direct line to the Baser police station talking to Lloyd, say, send somebody down here, we got a hit on a car. And the police, they can't open it. They can ask you permission, and you can say no, and then they can impound the vehicle, tow it off, and get a search warrant, and go through it, and have the same trouble. You see? But those were the students that asked to bring those drug dogs in. It wasn't the principal, it wasn't the superintendent, it was not a board member. It was 6 students that said, we want. There were 6 students that said, we deserve to have a school that doesn't have drugs in it. Now what if it's too late? What if I'm sitting here talking, and I've told you, asked you to be honest, you're going, man, I wish you'd talked to me a year ago. Or what if you've got a brother or a sister with an issue, or a mom and dad, or a friend? There's help. I told you before that I'm way past that blame game. If you need to call me, call me. I know where there's rehabs, I know counselors. I'm a parent ambassador for the partnership at drugfree.org. I can help, and I'm not going to look down on you. Anybody in your family, anything else. There's rehabs, there's local rehabs, there's counseling. There's Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous meetings in Baser and Bonner. There are meeting places. Trust me, before the issues with my son, I didn't even have a clue there were. I didn't know what those little signs meant. There's Nar-Anon and AL-Anon. These are meetings for loved ones of addicts. Be it a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, grandfather, grandmother, a friend. It doesn't matter what the relationship is. If you're a loved one of an addict or an alcoholic and you need to talk to somebody about it, that's what these meetings are for. You get to go talk.